I think the first thing that we need to understand is when you say secular India, what India are you talking about? Are you referring to an India pre-1947? Is it an India of the 1600s, 1700s? Is it an India of post-2014? Right? What India is it? So what I'm getting at is that in all of these times, India remained, and the only thing that was different are the political parties in India. Right? So there's a difference between India and the ruling party in India. Right? And that's the difference that we need to pinpoint and be very conscious of when we're speaking about something like this. To me, India, the topic wasn't, is the Indian government secular or not? Right? To me, the topic was, is India secular or not? Which means the idea of India. Now, to me, India obviously means its people. Right? There have been ups and downs, but I think at our ethos, at our basest natures, right, I think we are secular. And there are tons of examples. Quite honestly, I think it is our way of life. If you were to, someone gave the example of the Parsis coming to India, right? The Jews coming to India, right, and settling down along the western coast. This was pre-BJP, this was pre-Congress, right? So it's very fundamental to separate the government with who we are as a people and who we are as a nation, right? The BJP is not India, the Congress is not India. India doesn't belong to any singular political party, right? I think we've been swept up really by whether politicians are secular or not. And obviously they have their own vested interests in terms of why they say what they say and why they do what they do, right? To me, that's probably why secular was not in the Constitution, because there was no need, right? Sure, perhaps we were overcompensating thereafter by bringing it in, and in hindsight, maybe it helped, but I don't think that we needed to. Secular India is very different from, how other countries are secular. In Western countries or in foreign countries that claim to be secular, their secularism is very atheist, right? They take a step back, they don't really interfere at all. India's secularism is probably interventionist in nature, right? Which is that they will intervene, of course, they'll step back, they will intervene when they need to in all religions, right? So, for instance, a lot of you spoke about subsidies being made available to only one religion. Well, yes and no. Obviously, everyone is very conscious of the Hajj subsidies, but there are subsidies to other religious festivals as well. The yatras, the Amarnath yatras. The yatra in Pakistan, for the life of me, I can't remember the name, but where the Hindus go to Pakistan. Yeah, that's probably it. Yeah, so there are tons of examples. Now, someone said, look, that's security, that's the job of the government. I mean, look, you can't provide security in Mecca, right? So you have to provide security where you can. You have to incentivize people where you can. And perhaps that's how the government chooses to incentivize people. That doesn't make it, that doesn't make us any less secular. In fact, I feel it celebrates the number of religions we have, how pluralistic we are as a society. And what better example? There was beef and pork and all of that, but why must we compare ourselves to, at least when it comes to these parameters, the worst nations, right? We should compare ourselves to the best nations. So it doesn't matter what the Middle East does, it doesn't matter what Bangladesh does, what Pakistan does. We should aspire to something higher. And what better illustration is there of this being a political problem? Beef is perhaps banned in Karnataka and a few other states, but it's not banned in Goa and the Northeast, right, which are run ostensibly by the same governments. So this entire debate, I think, should be more focused on the strength we have as a people and the confidence and faith that we have in each other. There have been examples of, I think, a week ago, Gurudwaras opening up and saying, come over, offer your namaz here. There have been examples during the farmers' protests, right, where people separated, gave them an area to pray, right? So I think as a society, we've been taken in too much by what our political masters say, and we need to have more faith in ourselves. Look, world over, these are polarizing times, but these times come and go. It's cyclic. It was the Sikhs some time ago. It's perhaps it's the Muslims today. Perhaps it'll be the Christians tomorrow. But it's cyclic. It was the Jews at one point. This is not an India-centric problem. This is a world problem, and a world problem that we will overcome as long as we have faith in each other and not get taken in by what others want us to feel or do.
There are several things about debating that come to my mind. One is certainly the extent and the type of research that one does. And I think this is possibly feedback for everyone on both sides, is that set yourself a very specific subset of questions or question that you want to answer when you have something that is so broad in nature, right? So this is huge. India is not secular, right? It's massive. Like, which part of this do I want to think about or answer? I think one of the things that became a bit of a problem is that you want to say too many things about secularism in one go. So you're also saying food, you're also saying religious establishments. You're doing too many things in trying to do that. So one of the things perhaps I would have done is to kind of shrink that question down into 2 or 3 or maybe 2 things given the kind of time that one had. But having said that, I think, and I'm not saying this because you told me to say this or you told me to say this either. I'm saying this because I genuinely think so. I think it's difficult if you are not as fluent in English as a lot of people might be to access material and read it, because a lot of it is in English. So one thing is to keep in mind is that you have to keep going at it and to not be in any way sort of intimidated or struggle with that. That's one thing that I want to say. And I think the quality of the debate was very, very high. It's not, and I agree with Karan. I think this side had a harder job, not because of anything else, but because there is so much material that is available on India not being secular that is just very easy to access, especially I think post 2014. And be able to, break down, whether it is food, whether it is caste. I'm quite surprised that no one raised the question of religion, caste dynamics. I thought that would be something that I would hear a lot. And I think Anika was the only one who said Ambedkar, which I thought was quite strange for both sides, actually. There's enough and more of Ambedkar in the Constituent Assembly debates on religion, personal laws, his view on personal laws, a fabulous speech that he makes on why he thinks a uniform civil code might be the way forward. So I was quite surprised that I did not hear more of Ambedkar from both sides. I thought that was a little strange, but having said that, I am not as hopeful as Karan is. Maybe that's just, I think it's quite bleak. And I think we're struggling, we're clutching at straws. And a lot, the thing that I do agree with is that it is a question of, and this is, I think, an Ambedkar sort of question, is how do you live the Constitution? How do you live it? How does Aarti Munkur live it? How does each one of you live the constitutional values? And that, I think, requires a great deal of both self-reflection. And when I say that, I mean it's in small actions. Some of it is in small actions. Some of it is in much larger actions of how we sort of are vis-a-vis the state, what the state, how much the state of the state do we interact with, and how much of the state do we agree with, and what do we do when we don't agree with the state. And when I say the state, I am right at this point of time conflating with the party that we vote in power. Let's be very clear. We do a massive exercise every 5 years. We walk into a polling booth, each one of us, and we hit a button. Of course, that in itself is really not extraordinary. But what we do when we hit that button, and what we think before we hit that button, and what we aspire for the state to be, those for me, I think are the critical questions of how we live constitutional values, how we actually live it on a daily basis. So we can all stand here and say we have a fabulous constitution, and it does many things for us, and it prescribes that we are a secular state, and so on. But when it comes down to it, what do those constitutional values mean for us on a daily basis? How do we live those constitutional values? That, for me, is the question, and it translates into how secular we make India to be. So congratulations. I was really happy to be here today, and you all have done a great job